Our gospel for today is from Matthew 15, verses 21 to 28. Jesus left that place and went away to the district of Tyre and Sidon. Just then, a Canaanite woman from that region came out and started shouting, "Have mercy on me, Lord, Son of David. My daughter is tormented by a demon." But he did not answer her at all. And his disciples came and urged him, saying, "Send her away, for she keeps shouting after us." He answered, "I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel." But she came and knelt before him, saying, "Lord, help me." He answered, "It is not fair to take the children's food and throw it to the dogs." She said, "Yes, Lord, yet even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from their master's table." Then Jesus answered her, "Woman, great is your faith. Let it be done for you as you wish." And her daughter was healed instantly. The Gospel of the Lord. This is my favorite story in all of Scripture. A determined woman who knows her child deserves healing, so she will talk back to the Son of God to get it, is a pretty good summary of where I am in my faith right now. You may recall that I wove this story into one of the very first sermons I preached among you, the Sunday of the annual meeting back in January. But our August emphasis on food insecurity brings something else into focus. What is there to eat in this story? Jesus talks about the food he has come to bring for the children of Israel. And the mother begs for crumbs. Now, why do you suppose she asks only for crumbs? Sometimes we think that minimizing our need will make it more palatable to those who have something to give us. "I'm not really asking for much," we say. "You have so much, can't you just throw a little my way?" It is so little it won't inconvenience you. It's an amount you can ignore, like brushing crumbs off the table for the dogs. We are guilty of talking about stewardship this way in churches. We ask only for a little of your time, just a little bit of your money, what you can spare, and, a tiny bit of energy in helping us think through what we need to think through. You have so much, just throw us some crumbs. The problem in this framing, of course, is that the bread and crumbs are a metaphor for the things of God, which are not at all limited or finite. The same could be said about your capacity to reach out in love to others, which is all the church intends to equip you to do anyway. Now, we do need to rest, and many of us are acutely aware of our limits right now. We are working more than we worked pre-pandemic, and just figuring out how to be human is exhausting all the time. There seems to be a limit to my patience and my ability to respond with grace. But there is no limit to God's love and mercy. Even Jesus forgot this sometimes. So if you need a reframe, don't feel bad about it. He needed to be reminded by the Canaanite mother that there is enough for all of the things of God. God's mercy and healing are without limits. Now let's talk about All Saints. It is going to take a significant investment of time, energy, reframing and seeing things in a new way, and yes, money too, to bring All Saints into a new stage of abundant life again. And everybody's individual stores of energy are low right now. But listen, God's mercy and love are limitless. That means something to those of us who want to participate in bringing God's love into the world, and especially into the lives of those who have been told they are not included, that the walls, the limits around the grace of God keep them out. Jesus gets a lesson in stewardship from the Canaanite woman, as well as a correction of how he talks about people in dehumanizing ways. What made her keep persisting, keep going after him for that blessing? Well, she had very well identified her self-interest, her personal need that she could not stop until it was met. She was motivated even to challenge the Son of God himself to get her blessing. And she does a great job of underscoring the implications of Jesus' response, saying, "How about crumbs then? Even the dogs," although I can't really believe that you use that word, "get the crumbs." And God's crumbs are way more sustaining and reviving than the food any human can supply. But even more than correcting the picture of God that Jesus is painting, what if the act of talking back is her greatest act of faithfulness? She speaks up for someone else to be included. She uses everything that's available to her, her voice, her body to get in the way, and her persistence to make him see her side. That is actually stewardship on so many levels, people of God. And so I ask you, how will you use your voice, your bodies, your persistence to include those whom others say don't belong in God's family? You know, God's mercy is not pie. If someone else gets a piece, that doesn't mean there's less for you. But we all fall into that trap sometimes. Bumping up against our own limits, we start operating like God is limited too. To truly make sure that all are brought into God's embrace, we need to explicitly debunk those who say God's embrace is limited, even if they're quoting words from Jesus himself. We all need to sit with Jesus and the Canaanite woman and get our stewardship mindset rearranged. People of God can either tell a story of abundance or scarcity, but only one of those is actually good news to those who are suffering or excluded. It would be naive to believe that because God's mercy and love for all people is limitless, that there is no fight involved in making God's love real among us. Just like the Canaanite mother must stick up for her vulnerable daughter. It takes putting ourselves out there for those who cannot advocate for themselves, either because they don't have the time, money, energy, or power that you have to be heard. That is how they will know God is for them without limits. Thanks be to God.